All right, here's some big news coming in. Rahul Gandhi lands in some fresh controversy here as BJP questions Rahul India beta meet. BJP tweets, and I quote, "What is Rahul Gandhi doing with Jeremy Corbyn?" The guy in the middle there in London, that's what he refers to. Jeremy Corbyn is infamous for anti-India, anti-Hindu stance. Jeremy Corbyn has been openly advocating separation of Kashmir from India. Now, here is the BJP questioning what exactly is Rahul Gandhi doing with Jeremy Corbyn. The man that you see right in the center there is Jeremy Corbyn, and he has been known to openly have or is infamous for having anti-Hindu stance. In fact, Jeremy Corbyn has also been known for openly advocating separation of Kashmir from India. Here is Rahul Gandhi, who's standing right beside Jeremy Corbyn. In fact, BJP now putting out a tweet questioning Rahul Gandhi as to what he's doing with India beta. BJP's tweets there, it says, and I quote, "What is Rahul Gandhi doing with Jeremy Corbyn?" In London, Jeremy Corbyn is, as we know, infamous for anti-India and anti-Hindu sentiments and stance that he's had often. Jeremy Corbyn also very openly has advocated for separation of Kashmir from India. This is a big bash now to Rahul Gandhi, as BJP now condemning Rahul Gandhi's meeting with India beta, saying that Jeremy Corbyn, the man who's openly spoken against India and has anti-Hindu stance, this man who's also openly seen advocating for separation of Kashmir from India. Here is Rahul Gandhi, who's sharing a photograph with him, the man who's standing right in the center. Jeremy Corbyn is the man who's openly advocated for separation of Kashmir from India. This is a man that Rahul Gandhi has taken a photograph with now, of course, the BJP showering down, asking Rahul Gandhi what exactly is he doing with Jeremy Corbyn, and also spelling out clearly that Jeremy Corbyn is an anti-India, anti-Hindu, a man who's had his stance very clearly against India, as well as Hindus particularly. He has spoken out extensively and also very openly professed for Kashmir to be divided and separated from India. So this is the same man Rahul Gandhi has now shared a photograph with, which Rahul Gandhi is now being questioned by the BJP as to what he is doing with this India beta. Remember, Rahul Gandhi, he has been globetrotting. He moves around the world. He meets with people. And this is one photograph that doesn't seem to have gone down well with the BJP, certainly, almost accusing him of betraying India. Rahul Gandhi now landing himself in a fresh controversy as the BJP now questioning Rahul Gandhi's meeting with Jeremy Corbyn. Let me cut across to BJP spokesperson Bharatiya joining us on the phone line. Mr. Bharatiya, Rahul Gandhi's picture with Jeremy Corbyn, we see you've questioned it. What's your take on this?
Take of any Indian would be कि राहुल गांधी ही वो मिट्टी का तेल है जो भारत के खिलाफ जो चिंगारियां हैं उनको भड़काता है. He is the kerosene oil behind all the sparks against India. And this meeting itself reveals a lot about the character of the Congress party, which is against India. You may be against a political party or the government, but to meet people who have been defaming India itself shows that Rahul Gandhi is the invisible hand behind the forces which are working against our nation's interest.
Well, give us a little sense of Jeremy Corbyn for our viewers, Mr. Bhatia. How would you look at him? We believe that he's had an anti-India stance, has advocated for Kashmir to be separated from the country, and also spoken negatively on Hindus and Hindu sentiments.
You know, I must make it very clear that India is a very vibrant and robust democracy. He criticizes our country, it is fine. But to spread falsehood, to have a propaganda against our country, to interfere in matters governing our sovereignty is definitely not acceptable. Jeremy Corbyn is definitely one of those parliamentarians and leader. And Rahul Gandhi, meeting him itself reveals that it is important for the Congress party to somehow gain power rather than to strengthen the country.
Right. The Congress has been often accused of hobnobbing with people who don't really appreciate Indian sentiments as such. This in the latest Jeremy Corbyn's photograph that's been put out on social media shows this, carefree attitude or an attitude that really shows that they don't really care of the larger sentiments of the country. This is what the BJP says.
I think it is not just the voice of the Bharatiya Janata Party, it is the voice of every Indian. Because even earlier, if you recall, when Article 370 was abrogated, statements of Rahul Gandhi were on the front page of the dossier that was submitted by Pakistan to the United Nations. What does it reveal? When the country requires that every citizen stands with it, people from the Congress party are generally seen opposing for the sake of opposition. And this, I think, is condemnable.
Right, Mr. Bhatia, thank you very much for joining us with those details. Here is Rahul Gandhi's photograph with Jeremy Corbyn that's now received with much criticism. That image that's been put up, it appears by Jeremy Corbyn himself. Or we're probably, this has been, that's been put up on social media. It appears that Rahul Gandhi has put this picture up. Rahul Gandhi now landing in himself in a controversy as this picture has gone viral, where the BJP questioning Rahul Gandhi's meeting with Jeremy Corbyn, the guy who you see standing right in the middle of the screen. In that picture, he's right in the middle, flanked by Rahul Gandhi. Jeremy Corbyn, we know that has been quite infamous for anti-India and anti-Hindu stance in the past, also has openly advocated for separation of Kashmir from India. BJP Shehzad Punawala joining us on the phone line. Shehzad, Rahul Gandhi's picture that's now, that the BJP has quoted asking what Rahul is doing with India baiter Jeremy Corbyn. How would you look at it? And give us your understanding of Jeremy Corbyn and his views against India time and again.
You see, Modi or BJP Virod karte karte, Rahul Gandhi has now done India Virod yet again. From berating Indian institutions, from berating the Indian army on foreign soil, now he goes and endorses and legitimizes a man called Jeremy Corbyn, who even the Labour Party has rejected for his views on Jammu Kashmir. This is a man who wanted the right of self-determination for Jammu Kashmir. He wanted international intervention in Jammu Kashmir. He wanted Jammu Kashmir to be separated from India. He spreads Pakistani propaganda on a regular basis about Jammu Kashmir. But, this is expected from the likes of Rahul Gandhi simply because this man has a MOU with China and spreads Chinese propaganda. This man has taken money into RGF from China and continues to, after that, compromise on Indian interests for the sake of China. This man continues to espouse a position on 370 that was endorsed by Pakistan. And Rahul Gandhi continues to, in the name of Modi Virod and BJP Virod, stand with those forces who are doing India Virod.
Right. Shehzad, one can justify that this was just a mere meeting, could have been accidental, could have not too sure whether this was a planned meeting with Jeremy Corbyn, etc. But this image that the BJP has put out saying that this is, highly, it really hurts the sentiments and the feelings of India extensively. How would you look at this meet? Do you think this could have been just by chance, or is this is part of the Congress's culture to often embarrass or hurt or be careless about Indian sentiments on a global platform?
This is not a coincidence. This is a design simply because even when Article 370 was abrogated, a Congress delegation had met Jeremy Corbyn. The Congress party opened up its office in Istanbul in Turkey. This is the same Congress party which was meeting the Chinese ambassador during the Doklam crisis. This is the same Congress party that has made statements like Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary getting up in Parliament and saying that Kashmir is not an integral issue of India, but it is an issue between India and Pakistan. So all of these statements can't be a coincidence. This is a design. This is a conspiracy. This is Manishankar Ayyar had gone to Pakistan saying we need help from Pakistan to depose Mr. Modi. So what more proof do we require that today Indian National Congress, INC, should be called ANC, Anti-National Congress? Because Rahul Gandhi's act would qualify as no less for him to move on and legitimize a man who wants to separate Jammu Kashmir from India. is nothing less than an act of anti-nationalism, and therefore today INC has become ANC, Anti-National Congress.
Shahzad, thank you very much for joining us with those views. Here's Rahul Gandhi's photograph that's now gone viral, with the BJP, of course, putting it out, asking if what was Rahul Gandhi's purpose of meeting India beta Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy, of course, as we know, has been quite, has had often anti-India and anti-Hindu stance, extensively advocated for Kashmir to be divided and separated from India. So here, a photograph of Rahul Gandhi coming with Jeremy Corbyn. Quite naturally, the BJP now hitting out at Rahul Gandhi, criticizing him of being an India beta, of trying to hurt Indian sentiments and being regardless of the kind of efforts that India has made to retain Kashmir and to try and keep peace within the valley. Here is Jeremy Corbyn, who has often said that Kashmir should be separated from India. A man like that sharing space in that image, in that photograph with Rahul Gandhi, has now been widely criticized. Let me cut across to Gaurav Sawant, joining us for more on that. Gaurav, Rahul Gandhi's photograph with Jeremy Corbyn, as expected. BJP, of course, coming down heavy on Rahul Gandhi, saying that this is by design. It was a deliberate attempt to meet him because this is part of Congress's culture. Jeremy Corbyn has advocated for separation of Kashmir from India extensively. A man like that is sharing space with Rahul Gandhi. How would you look at it?
So this picture has actually given the BJP a big stick to hit not just the Congress party, but Congress party's former president and MP from Wayanad, Rahul Gandhi, with Jeremy Corbyn is someone, as you very rightly pointed out, Nabila, has been asking, for plebiscite in Kashmir. Jeremy Corbyn is known for his anti-India stance on Kashmir. Jeremy Corbyn is somebody in the Labour Party in UK who's known for a very pro-Pakistan stand. In fact, when he made his statements on Kashmir, the Labour Party itself distanced itself not just from that statement, but even from Jeremy Corbyn, saying that it had angered not just the British Indians, but India itself. And that stance was unacceptable, because either asking for plebiscite or asking about international observers. Kashmir, as is well known, is a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan, and is an issue where, the only bone of contention remains Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. In such a situation, Rahul Gandhi being photographed with Jeremy Corbyn, this time in the past, if you recall, when Doklam had happened, and that is something that Shehzad Poonawala has raised, that during Doklam, Rahul Gandhi was seeking a briefing or getting a briefing from the Chinese ambassador. He's saying, why is it repeatedly that Rahul Gandhi is seen with forces that are hostile to India and not just his opposition to Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
And this is not the first time that we're seeing reference of Jeremy Corbyn coming to fore. In fact, back in 2019 as well, we hear that Congress's overseas chief Kamal Dhaliwal at that point had also met with Jeremy Corbyn. At that point too, you had Home Minister Amit Shah questioning Rahul Gandhi on why internal matters was being discussed with foreign leaders, especially people who are, like you said, hostile to India and Indian sentiments. So it appears that Rahul Gandhi's bonhomie with Jeremy Corbyn seems to be backdated. An old one revived again in the latest image.
You're absolutely right. This would perhaps we will have to wait for a reaction from the Congress party. Rahul Gandhi, of course, as an Indian political leader, meets people across the political spectrum within the country and overseas. But his meeting the Chinese ambassador at the time of Doklam and getting information from the Chinese ambassador, even that time, both the BJP and the government said that if you need any information, you should get that information from government of India instead of getting information from the Chinese ambassador. The BJP has accused Rahul Gandhi of putting forward the Chinese point of view and not the Indian point of view. Similarly, his meeting Jeremy Corbyn is being looked at in a situation that why is Rahul Gandhi meeting someone who's so openly hostile to India, especially on India's stance on Jammu and Kashmir, a stance that has remained the same since 1947, irrespective of the government in power. Of course, after August of 2019, when action on Article 370 was taken, Jeremy Corbyn's stance has become even harsher against, the Indian position. So this is something that the Congress party will have to perhaps explain in the times ahead.
You know, Gaurav, when we speak of Kashmir, of course, India has extensively maintained that Kashmir is an internal matter. So any word coming in from any foreign leader on Kashmir has always been condemned and will never be received well with India. Kashmir, of course, is very sentimental when it comes to India. And comments like that made by Jeremy Corbyn, and that too on public platforms, on Twitter, on social media, time and again, really raises a lot of questions on why Rahul Gandhi is meeting a man like that consistently.
You know, the Indian position on Kashmir is a factual position. From 15th August 1947, it was Pakistan that invaded Jammu and Kashmir. It was Pakistan that's taken a portion of Jammu and Kashmir. It's Pakistan that's in violation of the UN resolutions on Jammu and Kashmir. And yet the British...
Gaurav, we're going to cut you short there. I'm going to quickly cut across our focus here to the Delhi court reserving the order on the Qutb Wapsi case. Let me cut across to those updates.